Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood number 590 in a 619 finish. This is a roller latch, which I have one removed from the packaging here. Let's take a look at it. It's a 590, classic sort of roller latch you're going to use in commercial applications where you've got solid core doors. The 619 is the finish, and that's a really nice looking satin nickel from Rockwood. I'm always very impressed with their fit and finish when it comes to finishes. That's the strike. That's the strike that comes with a 590. If you change that 590 to a 591 or a 592, you'll have a different strike, even though the roller latch body will be the same. This is all made of cast brass. You can tell by what I would refer to as the spangled look on the back side of it as is cast brass. You know it's solid brass. We know that it's cast, very high quality. The base material being brass permits the very high quality finish. There is data down below given the dimensional properties of the item, and suffice it to say this roller latch is available in different finishes, and let's take a look. Rockwood has this in 605 polished brass, 606 satin brass, 612 satin bronze, 613 oil rub bronze, 619 satin nickel, 625 polished chrome, 626 satin chrome. And being Rockwood, they are probably very agreeable to entertaining requests for custom finishes like antique nickel, like a 620 finish, etc. Now, this is an industry standard sort of design. One hallmark of a fine piece of architectural hardware, in my opinion, having mortised for hardware in general, and these certainly as well, more times than I can remember. The detail on the edge of that plate is not exactly 0 degree. Okay? It is actually a slight bevel on the outside towards the inside, so that when you mortise for the hardware and then you install that, you will have a hairline tight margin around the preparation and the piece of hardware. I very much enjoy seeing hardware from manufacturers like this who really get the process of manufacturing the material correct, because as someone who has played woodworker in the past, I appreciate what the finish looks like, the finished product after machining. So I really do lean towards Rockwood for a lot of pieces of hardware, and the value is tremendous. Let's go over some dimensional properties, but before we get to that, we'll kill two birds with one stone. There's a link below this video to a document called Template, where we can tackle the dimensional properties. On the bottom half, you'll see how that part number changes and you get a different strike. This is the 590. That's going to be 2 1/4 tall. The overall width is going to be about 1 inch and 11/16. Center line of the screw hole, that's really how strikes are measured. That's 1 1/8 inches. Oh, forgive me. I tried to pause that video before that happened. Do forgive me. That'll live on in perpetuity. Full lip strike, this can be referred to as, and you can see why we would call that a D strike. We might refer to that as, and you can certainly see why we would as well. Okay. Now the strike, the roller latch body itself is 3 3/8 apparently. Indeed, although they call it mortise. The width on this is 1 inch. Let's take a look at what the caliper says in terms of that, because that's, I think, while the router can certainly be considered the woodworker's best friend, I think the caliper is the true best friend. Width, wow. .101. That could not be more accurate. Length of the body, 3.372. So incredibly accurate on those dimensions. Okay. Now, the rest of the dimensional property. Now we're looking at the rest of the mortise in terms of what you're going to cut the door to, and let's take a look at that. They've got a 5/32 of an inch depth, mortise depth for the faceplate, and then they've got a 2 1/4 inch height for the body. And that's really where the, and that would certainly be adequate, that's really where the caliper comes in, because the first time that you mortise a piece of hardware, when the hardware is a new piece to you personally, I like to get that template and get that caliper and reality check and try to make it better, smarter is what I like to do. And what I mean by that is you'll study exactly what your preparation has to be. You obviously have a plate preparation where you're going to have that 5/32 by 3 3/8 by 1, but then you've got to prep for the body, and that caliper can come in and help you determine, well, gosh, do I really need to make the depth 1 inch all the way down? You really don't. And you, in my opinion, should not if you don't have to. You don't want to void space underneath there all the way down. And that's where that caliper comes in. You could probably do, not that you're going to have every possible drill bit combination, but you could probably get by with a body prep of 15/16 and then do a small amount of filing on either side and give yourself a little tighter fit. And then the length of that would be, they say 2 1/4. I'd have no problem with that. The depth we didn't measure, but they're talking about a depth of 1 3/4. That would certainly be adequate as well. And then your strike, it's 5/32 of an inch thick as well. The principle of this piece of hardware is that you can, with these screws, control the amount of tension on the roller, meaning control its projection. The further out it sticks, the more you've got to push and pull it to make it latch. These bigger springs back here are going to take the work of the roller going in and out, and then these outer springs allow you to actually tailor that dimension, okay, as you adjust that. Location of this, well, if it's a single door, I'd put it where a normal latch would go, or I would put it where a dummy handle is going to be, or a concealed edge pole is going to be as well, something in that range. If it's a double door, you're obviously going to put it at the header, but then you also might want to consider a different roller latch from Rockwood for that very purpose itself. Just trying to get the camera to refocus there. There it goes. They have a model, which I think is the 594, that would be more appropriate for double door use. No, it's not the 594. 594 would be a very good option in comparison to the 590. The 594 has that typical T-strike and is going to give you the same quality and caliber as the 590. The one I was thinking was the 593 would be good for, well, may not be necessarily good for a double door, but it would be good for a door, single or double, where you did not have a stop, where you're going to be using center hung pivots and then needed to have a stop, and that 593 will work for that. There's a link down below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up, pardon me, there's a link down below this video to a document called Product Brochure, where you can review the sister products to this, all of them that I mentioned earlier. It's very helpful to review that. We talked about the 3 variants of the 590 with the strikes. We talked about the 593 and the 594. Okay. The only other one we didn't talk about was the 590 with a double acting strike. I've sold a piece of hardware like that to folks who have a closet door. And that closet door is on center hung pivots, swings in and out. Well, the client doesn't need it to self-close, but they do want it to stay in the locked position so that they can, or the latched position, so that the cat stays out of the master closet, or whatever the case might be. Doesn't, I love cats. So they can make a custom strike that's basically this height, but very long, which would be the depth of the frame, and then put a preparation where you require it so that you can open the door, swing it in, put it to the closed position, it'll stay latched. You can then approach the door and pull it open if you like. So that strike is also there as well. After that, we've covered everything. I've machined for this hardware, like I had mentioned earlier, countless times. If you have any questions once you get your order from us, how to go about doing that, do feel free to reach out to us. I'd be happy to blab on even longer about it. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Rockwood products that we sell, screws are included, by the way, in a complimentary finish, where you can review not only all of the Rockwood products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. The name Rockwood is utterly synonymous with very high-quality trim and auxiliary hardware, and their name has been synonymous with that category for decades. Industry-level familiarity, acceptance, etc. I would very much recommend that you consider Rockwood products for your projects, as they earn your business by the fact that their customer service is exceptional. Their technical support is at least as good. Prompt, reliable, predictable shipping lead times. My goodness, I hope that I'm not jinxing myself, but they are predictable and reliable. Their lead times are phenomenal in terms of sticking to them. I mean, they're a manufacturer, so a lot of what they make is made to order. And they're fit and finish. When you get the piece of hardware, you say, my gosh, that looks clean, nice, unmolested, unperturbed, intended for installation. So I appreciate that from Rockwood, having touched a lot of pieces of hardware. Anyway, if you have any questions on the Rockwood number 590 and a 619 finish, or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.